Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Shamaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sharvakayeshu Sharvada. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Mishada. Yuklam Baradaram Vishnum Shashivaranam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sharva Vigno Pashantaye. Salutation to Lord Hanuman, who is present wherever or whenever Ramayana is being read, or whenever the names of Lord Rama is being chanted. Yatra yatra ragunama kirtanam tatra tatra kasamasta kanjalim bashpa vari paripurna lojanam marutihim namatta raksha shantakam. Pujantam Ramarameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruya Kavita Shakam Vande Valmiki Kokilam. So pranams to everyone. Jai Sri Ram. We are in our 32nd session of our Srimad Valmiki Ramayana class. And this session we are going to conclude this class. So before we go into the 32nd session, let's review what we have learned in 31st session. In 31st session, we've looked at the Yuddha Kandam from chapter 109 to 121. Some of the important area that we have looked at in the previous session, especially I said important area because of many controversy, many debates related to certain issues, certain conduct, okay, of Rama that have been analyzed by many scholars. We have looked at during the previous session. So the previous session we covered chapter 109, where Rama directs Vibhishana to perform the final rites for Ravana. And all the consorts of Ravana was lamenting, including the chief queen, that is Mandodari. Mandodari lamented of Ravana's death. And if you look at the lamentation in chapter 111, it's quite long. One of the particular words that came to my mind is that she was saying that when Ravana did tapasya, he did severe tapasya and he controlled his senses. He put the senses under his control. He managed to overcome his senses. But Mandodari was saying, it seems that senses, the five senses, okay, we are talking about senses, the senses that you have subdued, that you have won over in the past, have now taken revenge on you by overpowering you. Okay, these are some of the many, very detailed. If you read that particular chapter about Mandodari crying and Ravana have been killed. And after that, we learn about the installation of Vibhishana as a king of Lanka. And of course, Hanuman will inform Sita about Rama's victory. And then Vibhishana will bring Sita to Rama. And then we learn that Rama in the beginning disowned Sita's, requested Sita to seek shelter everywhere. He said, you can go wherever you want. You want to go to Lakshmana, you want to go to Sugriva, you want to go, where you want to go, you go. Okay, but Sita then gave a taunting reply to Rama. And then he requested Lakshmana to prepare fire for her to enter. And then after that, what happened is that all the devas, gods, okay, including Brahma, Lord Shiva, reached Lanka and approached Rama. And then the fire god, Agni Deva, came in person and brought Sita back to Rama. And then Rama accepted Sita after that. But these are some of the areas that we have discussed, and I have given you from various literatures like Adhyatma Ramayana, and you also have similar in Ramcharitmanas. You have it in Padma Purana, Devi Bhagavata Purana, and Sri Venkateshwara Mahatmya. So in some of these, it says that the Sita that was taken by Ravana to Lanka, that was taken by Ravana, took Sita to Lanka, was not the real Sita. Okay, in Naranyakanda, in Adhyatma Ramayana, it is mentioned when Lakshmana was away, Rama requested Sita to enter into the fire. And then Sita will go inside the fire, and then Maya Sita will come out from the fire. And Ravana took the Maya Sita. So when Sita, after the war, after Ravana was killed, when Sita requested Lakshmana to prepare a fire for her to enter, okay, the Maya Sita entered the fire and the real Sita came out. So this is not narrated in Valmiki Ramayana, but you will find in many other Ramayanas, such as what I have mentioned to you. Adhyatma Ramayana, the Sanskrit version, part of Ramananda Purana, is there. It's also in Ramcharitmanas, it's also in Adhyatma Ramayana, in the Malayalam version, and you also have in many other regional Ramayanas as well, including Puranas such as Devi Bhagavata Purana, Padma Purana, and Sri Venkateshwara Mahatmya. Okay, in Venkateshwara Mahatmya, it says that the Maya Sita is actually Vedavati. Vedavati, if you do, when I give you some notes on Uttarakhanda, you will know who is Vedavati. It was Vedavati who came as a Maya Sita. Okay. Now, and then after that, Lord Shiva came, Dasarada also came, Indra gave boon to Rama. Rama requested that all the Vanaras should be return back to life, will be alive again, and then may all these places will be fruitful with vegetations, with fruits and all that. And Indra gave that boon to Rama. And then after that, Rama prepares to leave for Ayodhya with Pushpaka Vimana. Pushpaka Vimana. Rama wanted to go quickly to Ayodhya because he was concerned of Bharata. And he told Vibhishana he has to go quickly. And then Vibhishana said, yes, it's possible for you to go quickly. We have a aircraft that is called Pushpaka Vimana that will take you to Ayodhya within a day. So in our session today, that is 32nd session, which is the last, we are going to conclude this class with this session. We are going to look at Yuddha Kandam from chapter 122 to 128. So what are some of the parts or the areas that we are going to look at? Is the journey of Rama along with Sita, Lakshmana to Ayodhya. They will ascend Pushpaka Vimana. And then Rama will be showing all the places that he traveled. After Sita has been abducted, the places that he traveled, where he saw Jatayu lying down, then the place like where he killed Kabanda, Sabari, meeting with Sugriva, all the places he will be giving narration to Sita, places that he traveled. And Rama lands at sage Bharatvaja's ashram Bharatvaja. Remember in Ayodhya Kanda, when Rama was going into the forest, he went to Sringiberapura where he met his friend Guha. In Guha, he considered Guha not only as a friend, like a brother. In Kamaramayana, it is mentioned with Guha, he became four. In Tamil, they say, Anbulla Guhanodu, Ivaranam. Sorry, with Guha, we became five. 5 with Guha, and then later with Sugriva we became 6, and then with Vibhishana it will be said they became 7. So he lands at Bharadwaja ashram, and then Rama, looking at the time, and also since it is coming close to the end of his what they call exile, he was concerned about Bharata, because Bharata made a vow that he is going to enter the fire if Rama did not come. By the time, at the expiry of his exile, if he did not come, he is going to enter into the fire. So what Rama did, he informed Hanuman to go to Bharata. On the way, he told Hanuman to stop at Sringiverabora to inform Guha that he is also on the way. Okay, and Bharata Hanuman will inform Bharata about Rama's return, and Hanuman again recounts to Bharata about Rama in the forest. Another mini Ramayana here will be narrated by Hanuman. Hanuman will again narrate, okay, about mini Ramayana from Ayodhya Kanda onwards, from the time that Bharata met Rama. This is quite a long also, the chapter, if you look into 126. And then after that, Bharata commands for reception for Rama. He will inform, he will give this duty, he will delegate it to Satrughna, who will do all the arrangement. Everyone in Ayodhya will be making preparation to receive Rama coming back from the forest after 14 years. And finally, in chapter 128, which is the last chapter of Yuddhakandam, is Sri Rama Pattabhisheka. That is a coronation of Rama. It is always said that any Ramayana that you read, whichever book that you read of Ramayana, sometimes even people who read, regular readers of Sundarakanda, after completion of the 68 chapters of Sundarakanda, they will have to complete the reading with Rama Pattabhisheka, that is chapter 128. And it is said that it is very auspicious to read the Pattabhisheka of Rama, that is the coronation of Rama. Okay, now let's look at the 122. As I have given a summary earlier, Rama said to Vibhishana, all these Vanaras and others have helped you in accomplishment of this great mission. A mission of what? Mission for Vibhishana to become the king. They have coronated the Vibhishana. Of course, killing Ravana is one. But Vibhishana got the kingdom. Kingdom was gained by Vibhishana. Just like earlier, Vali was killed and Sugriva became the king. So Rama actually transformed. He changed the kingship. He changed the kingship of Kishkinda from Vali to Sugriva, and he also changed the kingship of Lanka from Ravana to Vibhishana. Even he was in exile, he was able to do that. So Rama said to Vibhishana, all these Vanaras have helped you to accomplish your great mission. So it is therefore proper for you, to honor them, to reward them with wealth, jewels, etc. So Vibhishana complied with the Rama's command. After witnessing this, Rama got ready to leave for Ayodhya. So he was about to board the aircraft. He said to the assembled Vanara leaders, you have regarded me as your friend, and you have all rendered me a great service. Now you may return to your abodes. So he told Sugriva, you can now return to Kishkinda. Vibhishana, please consolidate this kingdom of Lanka, which is yours now. I shall leave with your leave to Ayodhya. This is what Rama mentioned. But the Vanaras, Vibhishanas, they submitted to Rama. On behalf of the Vanaras leaders, the principal demons, Vibhishana submitted to Rama. Oh Rama, we too wish to accompany you to Ayodhya. We also want to see your coronation. We are eager to witness your coronation. We wish to pay homage in person to Mother Kausalya too. Please grant us this prayer. And Rama was happy to hear this and replied, surely what you have said augments my joy and intensifies my delight. Certainly, if I return to Ayodhya, surrounded by all of you, my friends, we shall be enhancing the joy and happiness of Bharata and other kingsmen there. Delighted to have Rama's permission, the Vanara leaders and Sugriva, also Vibhishana and his ministers, boarded the excellent aircraft Pushpaka, the Vimana called Pushpaka Vimana. And with Rama's permission, Pushpaka Vimana took off. They boarded Pushpaka Vimana. As the aircraft flew over the city of Lanka, over the battlefield, and so on, Rama pointed out to Sita, behold this Lanka built on top of Mount Trikuta, O Sita. He continued to show other important landmarks. They were flying over Kishkinda territory. They actually, Rama was showing a lot of places. In fact, if you read this particular chapter, chapter 123, it is also mentioned Rama showed to Sita a place where he prayed to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva gave him blessings. The particular place and all the landmarks he mentioned that. Please read if you want to go through the detail. It is mentioned there in chapter 123. Okay, Rama mentioned that particular place where he prayed to Lord Shiva for blessings before he moved. He gone to Lanka. So now they were flying over Kishkinda. When they were flying over Kishkinda, Sita said to Rama, I would like to return to Ayodhya in the company of wives of Sugriva and other Vanaras leaders, O Lord. You have to remember, Sita was the only lady in the Pushpaka Vimana. Definitely, she wanted to see the other ladies from what they call from Kishkinda, from Sugriva sides. So Rama ordered the aircraft to land and said to Sugriva, let the wives of Vanara chief come on board as soon as possible so that they may accompany us to Ayodhya. And Sugriva announced the delightful command to the women folk of Kishkinda, we shall all witness the re-entry of Rama into Ayodhya. Immediately they boarded the craft and the aircraft took off again. And once again, Rama showed Sita various places connected with his wandering. The Rishamukha hill, the Pampa lake, the site of Sabari's hermitage, Janasthana from where Sita was abducted, also the spot where Jatayu fell. So he showed Sita where his own hermitage was. Later he showed river Godavari, hermitage of Sage Agastya, hermitage of Sage Sarabanga, Sutikshana, also Atri Muni. Remember, these are the sages that Rama met earlier. Atri Muni, Rama met at the concluding part of Ayodhya Kanda. And remember, Atri Muni's wife, Anusuya, gave a lecture to Sita about how to be a good wife. What are the characteristics? What are the traits? What you should do? These are given by Anusuya. Also, she gave Sita a lot of jewelries. And then, of course, we learn about sage Sarabanga, sage Sutikshana, Agastya. Okay? And also Chitrakuta, where Rama met Bharata. Near to Chitrakuta was the ashram of Valmiki. Okay? And also the abode of Guha, finally pointing out to Ayodhya. He said, yonder is Ayodhya, O Sita. Please go down to Ayodhya. Now you have safely returned. But even before he reached Ayodhya, Rama landed once again near the hermitage of sage Bharadwaja and bowed to him and inquired of Bharata and other members of the family in Ayodhya. And Bharadwaja said, Bharata, clad in ascetic robes, is eagerly waiting for your return. With your sandal placed on the throne, all is well in Ayodhya. He also revealed that he knew all that had happened between his previous meeting with Rama and now. So there is no need for Rama to narrate to Bharadwaja. Through his vision, he was able to see all that things that have happened. Okay. So he said, I was unhappy to see the proceeding to the forest. I'm delighted to see you return to kingdom now, he said. Choose a boon, Rama, and I shall grant it. And Rama asked, may all the trees on our roads from here yield fruits, even it is not their season. May there be plenty of honey and groves. The sage said, may it be so. Behold, immediately all the trees in the neighborhood were laden with fruits and honey, and the Vanaras who were there enjoyed to their heart's content. Just like remember in Sundarakandam, we learn after Sita has been recovered, Sita has been seen, Hanuman came back, narrated all the happenings in Lanka to Jambavan, to Hankada. Hankada was rushing. He said, why not we go back to Lanka, okay, defeat Ravana and bring Sita to Rama. But Jambavan said that is not wise. Our mission is only to find out where Sita is. So it is better for us to go and report to Rama. So on the way to Mount Prasaravana, where Rama, Lakshmana, and Sugriva were located, the Vanara stops at Madhuvana. Okay, Dadimuka, they destroyed the Madhuvana. They drank the honey and all that thing. And then Dadimuka, the uncle of Sugriva, was very angry, and then he reported to Sugriva, and later Sugriva requested all the Vanaras to immediately come back. Okay, so Vanaras, just like that, the Vanaras enjoyed all the fruits and honey due to the grace of sage Bharadwaja. And with the blessings of Rama, sorry, okay. Now, with the blessings of Rama, Hanuman immediately proceeded to Sringiverapura. Okay, he actually, Rama requested, Rama actually requested, Rama requested Hanuman to go to meet Bharata. On the way, stopped at Sringiverapura, where Guha is there. So Hanuman left immediately to Sringiverapura. He saw Guha introduce himself and conveyed to Guha the joyous news of Rama's return. And Hanuman then flew and reached Nandigrama. Nandigrama is not far from Ayodhya. It's the outskirts of Ayodhya. Bharata did not rule in Ayodhya. He ruled from Nandigrama. Okay? Not far from Ayodhya. There he saw noble Bharata with a picture of grief and sorrow, living as an ascetic, clad in ascetic garment, living extremely ascetic life. Approaching Bharata with joined palms, Hanuman said to Bharata, who was well versed in Dharma. So it's mentioned Bharata is his Dharmatma, well versed in Dharma, who appears to be Dharma embodied. It is also mentioned Rama is also Dharma embodied. And the one who mentioned Rama, Vikraman Dharma, it is actually mentioned by Marita to Ravana. So here Valmiki also uses this. Bharata is also Dharma embodied. And you have to remember that one particular sloka where in Ayodhya Kanda, Guha will be saying to Bharata, after knowing the noble intention of Bharata, going to looking for Rama, in order for Rama to come back to Ayodhya to become the king, Guha will be saying, even thousands Rama will be equivalent to you, O Bharata. There is one statement, but you need to go back to Ayodhya Kanda, you can check. There is one particular statement that came from the mouth of Guha and reported by Valmiki. Okay, so the blessed Rama is well and inquires after your welfare. You will soon behold him. Bharata fainted with joy. On regaining consciousness, he shed tears of joy and said to Hanuman, you may be a god or a man, but surely out of great compassion to me, you have come here. And he also offered Hanuman thousands of cows, a lot of gifts he mentioned. The list of gifts are there in this the particular chapter 125. And then Bharata inquired to Hanuman, please tell me everything. How did Rama acquire friendship of the Vanaras and what happened then? In response to that inquiry, Hanuman told Bharata the entire Rama story in brief. So here we have to see Hanuman have mentioned about Ramayana many times. If you remember in Sundarakanda also you have mentioned to a mini Ramayana to Sita. What had taken place before, and then after Sita had been abducted, and then what is likely to take place in the future, that Rama is going to kill Ravana and you'll be going to Ayodhya and you'll be coronated. You'll be coronated. All that mini Ramayana is there. And then many times you have mini Ramayana appearing in Kishkinda Kanda. Even earlier, Ankada will be also be telling mini Ramayana to Sampati. Many times you will have in another mini Ramayana or brief narration of Ramayana. In fact, there is also a mini Ramayana up to the marriage of Rama and Sita will be narrated by Sita to Anusuya in the Ayodhya Kanda. Okay, so in this is the last mini Ramayana that will be narrated by Hanuman will be narrating. Okay, in fact, there are some stories that says Hanuman himself has written a Ramayana. But when he came to know that Valmiki has written the Ramayana, and he in fact he threw the entire Ramayana. He broke the Ramayana that he wrote on a rock. He broke it. They say that's the reason why we don't hear about Hanuman Ramayana. The Ramayana that has been narrated by Hanuman, that was written by Hanuman. There is actually a story. This is not recorded by Valmiki, but it's a story. It is there about Hanuman who wrote Ramayana. But here, Hanuman narrating the entire Ramayana in brief to Bharata. If you want to see Ramayana as narrated by Hanuman, read chapter 126 of Yuddha Kanda. And Hanuman concluded, at the request of sage Bharadwaja, Rama decided to spend a day at the sage ashram, hermitage, and hence send me to convey the glad tidings to you. And he said, tomorrow during the auspicious hour known as Pushya Yoga, you will behold Rama who has already reached the bank of Holy Ganga and who is living at the hermitage of Sage Bharadwaja. And of course, hearing this, Bharata was exceedingly happy. Exceedingly, he was happy, very happy, Bharata. And he was very happy, in a state of happiness. Bharata immediately made reception arrangement. He gave instruction to Satrughna that prayers be offered to the gods in all temples with fragrant flowers, musical instrument. Satrughna then requested actually very detailed arrangement. I'm not giving all the arrangement one by one here. I'm just summarizing the arrangement. In fact, all these are summary of the chapter. Satrughna immediately gave orders that roads should be level, sprinkled with waters. Soon all ministers and thousands of elephants and men on horseback went out to greet Rama. There was a royal reception party seated in palanquins led by the queen, mother Kausalya herself, Kaikeyi, and other members of the royal household followed. And all of them from Ayodhya reached Nandigrama. From there, Bharata headed the procession with the sandals of Rama placed on his head with white royal umbrella and other regalia. Bharata was the very picture of an ascetic. Through he radiated the joy that fills his heart at the very thought of Rama return to kingdom. And Bharata anxiously looked around and saw no sign of Rama returning. He was worried. He's asking Hanuman, you said Rama is going to come. I don't see any sign of him. But Hanuman reassured him, Listen, O Bharata, you can see the cloud of dust raised by the Vanaras rushing towards Ayodhya. You can now hear the roar of Pushpaka Vimana. So Hanuman reassured Rama, and then he said, Rama has come. With these words uttered, with these words uttered by thousands of people, see, they are able to see that Rama is there, Rama is coming. Even before Pushpaka Vimana landed, Bharata humbly saluted Rama, who was standing in front side of the aircraft. And Pushpaka Vimana landed. And as Bharata approached it, Rama lifted him up and placed him on his lap. Bharata bowed down to Rama and also to Sita and greeted Lakshmana. He also embraced Sugriva, Jambavan, Angada, Vibhishana, and others. And he said to Sugriva, we are 4 brothers, with you we are 5. He said, good deeds promotes friendship. Evil is a sign of enmity. This is in chapter 127. And Rama also bowed to his mothers actually, not only Kausalya, it should be mothers, Kausalya, Kaikeyi, Sumitra, who was in a state of sorrow, but now when Rama returned, they were very joyful, brought great joy to their hearts. Then he also bowed to Sumitra and Kaikeyi. All the people thereupon said to Rama, welcome, welcome back, O Lord. Bharata placed the sandals in front of Rama and said, Rama, this is your kingdom, which I held in trust for you during your absence. I consider myself supremely blessed in being able to behold your return to Ayodhya. By your grace, Bharata is mentioning, the treasury has been enriched tenfold by me, as also the storehouses and the strength of the nation. Rama felt delighted. The entire party had disembarked, and then Rama instructed Pushpaka Vimana to be returned to its original owner, that is Kubera. Remember that Pushpaka Vimana originally belonged to Kubera. In Uttarakanda of Ramayana, we will also learn, there's no class for Uttarakanda as I have mentioned to you, but I'm going to share notes for you about Uttarakanda, just like the slides that I am sharing with you here. You learn that this Pushpaka Vimana belonged to Kubera, including Lanka that belonged to Kubera, but it was taken by force, it was taken by Ravana from Kubera. He confiscated Pushpaka Vimana from Kubera. And then Ravana was using the Pushpaka Vimana. Now the Pushpaka Vimana used by Rama to return to Ayodhya. Then Rama requested the Pushpaka Vimana to go back to its original owner, that is Kubera. And the concluding chapter, the last chapter of Yuddha Kandam, which also concludes the Ramayana. But by tradition, Ramayana concludes with the Rama Pattabhisheka. Okay? The coronation proceedings were immediately initiated by Bharata. He says, skilled barbers removed the matted locks of Rama. He had a ceremonial bath and he was dressed in magnificent robes and royal jewels. Kausalya herself helped the Vanara ladies to dress themselves in royal robes. As far as Valmiki Ramayana is mentioned, the names of Vanara ladies, that only 2 that we are able to know as reported by Valmiki, that is Tara, wife of Vali, who later became wife of Sugriva. Although not directly mentioned, but based on the reporting by Valmiki that Susena, father of Tara, is his father-in-law, that is mentioned in Kishkindakanda when Rama, when Sugriva was giving directions to the Vanaras to go into 4 different corners of the world, all corners of the world to search for Sita. It is mentioned there. So we have Tara and Ruma. Ruma is the wife of Sugriva. Okay, but the other ladies of Vanaras are not mentioned, the name not mentioned by Valmiki. Okay, so Kausalya herself helped the Vanara ladies to dress themselves in royal robes, and all the queens dressed Sita appropriately for the occasion. And then the royal chariot was brought in, and Dali ascending it, Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita went in procession to Ayodhya. Bharata himself driving the chariot. When he reached the court, Rama gave his ministers and counselors a brief account of events during his exile, particularly with the alliance with Vanara chief Sugriva and exploit of Hanuman. And then he also informed them of the alliance with Vibhishana. So it's very important to give this information because this information was not provided. People need to know. Okay, Rama himself gave this information to the ministers and counselors. There are many ministers. You remember ministers in Valmiki Ramayana, the ministers in Balakanda mentions many names of the ministers. Of course, we learned Sumantra is one of the ministers. And then the preceptors, there are many, apart from what they call Vashista, Vamadeva. It is also mentioned Jabali. Jabali also was there during coronation. Jabali was a sage who spoke on Dharmaka philosophy, with something on the atheistic side. He told Rama, forget that Dasaratha is your father. You go and enjoy your kingdom. Nobody, everyone in this world comes alone and goes alone. Goes alone. It is only during this temporary time, course of the time, we identify ourselves as a father, as a son, and all that. He was, of course, Rama was not happy with the what Jabali had mentioned, and Rama gave his reply. That is there in Ayodhya is there in Ayodhya Kanda. And that Jabali is still there. Jabali is one of the sage in the court of Dasaratha, and he was still there. If you read chapter 128, name of Jabali is again there. Okay. Of course, it also mentioned Gautama, sage Gautama also came for the coronation. Okay. So Rama described everything to the ministers and the counselors. It's something like a formal meeting. He mentioned everything. And at Bharata's request, Sugriva dispatched the best of Vanaras to fetch waters from 4 oceans and all the sacred rivers of the world. And the aged sage Vasistha thereupon commenced the ceremony in connection with the coronation of Rama. Rama and Sita were seated on a seat made entirely of precious stones. The foremost among sages thereupon consecrated Rama with the appropriate Vedic chants. The Brahmanas, then the virgins, then the ministers, the warriors, and later the Vaishya community, the businessmen, poured holy waters on Rama. After Sage Vashistha placed Rama on the throne which has been made by Brahma, the creator himself. The gods and others paid homage to Rama by bestowing gifts upon him. Rama also gives away rich presents to the Brahmanas and others, including Vanara chiefs like Sugriva. And Rama gave Sita a necklace of pearls and said, "O Sita, you may give it to whom you like." Sita immediately gave to Hanuman. And then she was actually giving a lot of praise to Hanuman. There is a sloka there, very beautiful sloka. You read it is there in chapter 128. So anyone who read it, the chapter, actually to tell you that this chapter is an auspicious chapter to read. Especially the coronation of Rama, chapter 128 is a very auspicious chapter because they say anyone who reads with faith and devotion, okay, there are a lot of benefits. In fact, that benefit is already mentioned in Ramayana itself. Later on, I will go through with you. So Sita gave to Hanuman. That's what is given in Valmiki Ramayana. But in some other versions, they have expanded the stories. That's why I have taken some versions which are not in Valmiki Ramayana. There are folklore stories. I don't find in others specific one, but these are all some of the stories where after Sita has given the what we call necklace of pearls to Hanuman, everyone was silently thinking how fortunate was Hanuman to receive the gift from Sita, Jagannatha. Can there be greater blessing than this? Hanuman received with utmost devotion and humility. After a few minutes, what the assembly saw was shocking. They were horrified. So what happened was that Hanuman had broken the necklace. He was picking up each pearl and putting it in his mouth, biting it, chewing it, and spitting it out. When asked to explain his action, which was unworthy of him, with full devotion and eyes filled with tears, Bashpavari Paripurna Lotanam, the eyes filled with devotion, Hanuman said, when anything comes from Rama or Sita Mata, it is indeed precious and special. Anything that comes from Rama and Sita, it is precious and special. I expected a glimpse of you in it, glimpse of Rama and Sita. I looked at the pearls very intensely, but did not see Rama in that. I brought it to my ears, but did not hear Rama's name in that. I did not get the fragrance of Tulsi that Rama adored. When I brought it to my nose, my finger did not feel the soft touch of Rama's feet in the pearls. Lastly, I put the pearls in my mouth and chew to see if I can experience the taste, the rasa, or the essence of Rama's sweet name, but I was thoroughly disappointed. So Hanuman said, that which cannot bring to five sense organs, anything related to Rama is useless to me, however valuable it may be. Therefore, I discarded them. And then in the assembly, Sugriva, his master, Sugriva got up and said, he asked Hanuman, as what made you think you can find Rama in the pearls, which are but inert object? Hanuman turned to him and said, if Rama and Sita can take up abode in my body, which is made of bones, flesh, blood, and skin, why not in the beautiful, priceless pearls? And to endorse his statement, Hanuman then, with his hands, tore upon his chest, and there in the inner kingdom of his heart, seated on the throne of devotion, everyone had a glimpse of Rama and Sita. So for Hanuman, this is real Patabhisheka, the absolute fulfillment. This is one version, but this, as I say, it is not found in Valmiki Ramayana, not reported by Valmiki anywhere. And the whole assembly stood speechless. And Rama came up to Hanuman and told him that there was nothing in the whole world that he could give to Hanuman in return for all the devotion and his service. All he could do was to give himself to him, and Rama held Hanuman in tight embrace. It's like what he did in the first chapter of Yuddha-kanda. After Rama heard everything from Hanuman of his discovery, Drishtva Sita, have seen Sita, he narrated all. Rama said, nothing I can give you now at this moment except my warm embrace. This is one version. There is also another version. Rama gave rich presents to all Vanaras when they were about to leave. Everybody was ready to leave, but seeing Hanuman hesitating, Sugriva asked him, are you not going with us? Okay, but Hanuman said, my lord, would you permit me to stay and serve Rama? Why this? Because here, from this story, it says Hanuman is released from the bonds of Sugriva. Sugriva used to be his masters before. Hanuman was the servant of Sugriva, minister of Sugriva. Because Hanuman was received education from Surya Bhagavan. And Surya Bhagavan, upon completion of his education, told Hanuman to serve his son Sugriva. So he has been serving Sugriva. So now it's time for him to complete his task after serving Sugriva for a long period of time to serve Rama. Of course, he has been a Rama servant too from the day he met Rama. So when everyone was seeing Hanuman hesitating to leave, Sugriva asked him, are you not going to come with us? Going with us? My lord, would you permit me to stay and serve Rama? Ask Hanuman. Okay, and Sugriva said, you pose to be attached to Rama, but can you prove that your devotion is true and sincere? Inquired Sugriva. And hearing this, Hanuman remembered Rama and Sita, and he tore his chest with his nail, and Sugriva was amazed to see images of Rama therein. Everybody present there could not help praising Hanuman. And Sugriva was so impressed that he said, you are the embodiment of all noble values. Your devotion, bhakti, to Rama is unequal. So I free you from all bonds. You may stay here if you desire, if you so desire. So Sugriva have released Hanuman from his bonds. Sugriva released Hanuman. Okay, but again, these are you can find in some of the versions and stories of on Ramayana, but it is not in Valmiki's version of Ramayana. It's not as reported by Valmiki. Now, after witnessing the coronation of Rama, the Vanaras returned to Kichkinda. So did Vibhishana return to Lanka. Okay, Rama looked fondly at Lakshmana and expressed the wish that he should be the prince regent. He should be the prince regent. But Lakshmana did not reply. He did not want it. So when Lakshmana didn't want it, Rama appointed Bharata. And Rama thereafter ruled the earth for a very long time. Valmiki Ramayana mentioned 10,000 years. But as I have mentioned to you previously many times, up to you to look into the measurement in terms of yugas. As I said, this incident took place in Treta Yuga. But just like I mentioned to you when I described the Hanuman crossing over the ocean, 100 yojanas, which is equivalent to 800 miles. So remember that it's up to you whether you want to take it as it is. There are people who take it as it is, and they say Treta Yuga is close to 1 million years because the calculation Kali Yuga is 432,000 years, times 2 is Dobra Yuga, times 3 is Treta Yuga. So Rama's what you call pastime was during the end of Treta Yuga. So it was said that during the rule of Rama, this is where Ramarajya will be more, you can even find in Uttarakhand. But there are some description of Ramarajya in this chapter, chapter 128, the last chapter. It says that during Rama's reign, during his period, there was no poverty, no crime, no fear, no crime. Nobody would steal anything. If you put gold outside also, nobody will steal. There is a mention when Kambaramayana, it is mentioned that Ayodhya, when he was describing about Ayodhya, the kingdom of Ayodhya, it was said in Ayodhya there are shops for so many things. They sell so many things in Ayodhya. But in Ayodhya, there is no shops for locks and keys. There is nobody, because nobody locks their house. So there is no need to sell any locks. So there is no crime. He says there is no fear, abhayam, no fear, no unrighteousness, no adharma in the kingdom. Everybody devoted to dharma, Valmiki reports. Because a Trita Yuga, dharma is 75%, adharma is 25%. In Krita or Satya Yuga, it is mentioned dharma is 100%. Trita Yuga, dharma 75, adharma 25. Gopra Yuga, dharma 50%, adharma 50%. In Kali Yuga, dharma 25%, adharma 75%. So here, Valmiki is reporting that everyone was devoted to dharma. And Rama also highly devoted to dharma. Sorry, it's 11, not 11,000 years. It's 10,000 years. I checked in Valmiki Ramayana, where it's very clear, 10,000 years. You can check in chapter 128. Okay, that one I can do correction later on. Typo there, on the typo error. Okay, it says that Rama ruled a kingdom characterized by the prevalence of dharma. People were free from fear, no fear. There was no widow in the land, nor did they suffer from any diseases, no vyadi, no disease. There is no theft, no robbery, no violence. Young people did not die, making older people perform funeral services for them. Everyone was happy. Everyone was happy. If you devoted to dharma, in Chanakya Sutra, he mentions in the organizational context also, you can look into Sukhasya Moolam Dharma. Basis of happiness is dharma. Dharmasya Moolam Artha. Basis of and then about Artha, Arthasya Moolam Rajyam, Rajyasya Moolam Indriya Jaya, and so on. There is a very important thing on Chanakya. If you study about Chanakya, so it is about dharma. Everyone devoted to dharma, beholding Rama alone. No one harmed another. People lived long, had many children. They were healthy and free from sorrow. Everywhere people speaking all the time about Rama. Everywhere it is Rama. They all talk about Rama. The entire world appeared to be form of Rama. The trees endowed with undying roots. They were in fruit. They bear fruits all the time. They flower throughout the year. Rainfall whenever it is needed. They were pleasant breeze always. Brahmanas, warriors, farmers, and businessmen, servant class. Everyone was free from greed. No greed. They were joyously devoted to their own dharma, sure dharma, function, and then functions of the society. Sure dharma and also vanashrama dharma. Dharma, you have sure dharma. Sure dharma means your own. Then ashrama dharma. Ashrama dharma means dharma in a family. That means it can be, sure, ashrama dharma can be based on what is your role, whether you are a brahmacharya, grihastra, vanaprahastra, or a sannyasa. That is ashrama dharma. Then you have another dharma that is called varnashrama dharma. Dharma in a society, brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra. And this classification of brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra are not based on birth, but based on qualities and work. Remember, this is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 13. Krishna mentions Chatur Varnyam Maya Shastram Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. Guna and karma. Based on guna is the quality, karma is the work, qualities and work. That is vanashrama dharma. Then you have another dharma that is called the global context. We look at Vritta dharma. Okay, they all take dharma as a guiding light. It is said that one who protects dharma will be protected by dharma. And this is where in the Vedic literature it is clearly mentioned. One who protects, one who follows the path of dharma, who protects dharma, will then be protected by dharma. So again, I say it's an error here, 10,000 years. I will make a correction. It's I'm referring back to the Valmiki Ramayana, and the slides, when I do once they edited, once I have done edited, I will share with you in the group, WhatsApp group. It will be shared for you, all the slides. In fact, what I'm going to do is that I'm not going to share like 32 slides. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to compile everything into 6 books. So all the slides from Balakandam will be compiled or will be combined together in one book, and then there will be about 6 ebooks which you can use for your reference later. And that will be, maybe I'm going to go stage by stage. Once Balakandam completed, I will provide you, and then after that, and includes also Uttarakandam. Uttarakandam also I will do, and I will share with you, and I will also provide a link to Professor Gupta, who will be sharing in this website of this Ramcharit Bhavan. It will be shared there. So people, whoever wants to follow, you can follow from there. So here, it further says in chapter 128, actually very long, it says here, Nava and Kusa is saying, this holy epic Ramayana, composed by sage Valmiki, promotes dharma, fame, kirti, long life, okay, ayush. In case of a king victory, okay, he who listens to it always is freed from all sins. He who desires sons gets them. Who desires wealth will become wealthy. While listening to the story of coronation of Rama, king conquers the whole world after overcoming the enemy. Women will be blessed to this story with the will be blessed, who listens to this story will be blessed with children like Rama and his brothers. They too will be blessed with long life after listening to Ramayana. He who listens or reads Ramayana propitiates Rama by this, and Rama is pleased with him, and indeed, he is indeed the eternal Lord Vishnu. Lava and Kusa. Remember, as I said to you, the entire Ramayana narrated by Lava and Kusa. They are ending it by saying, such is the glorious epic Ramayana. May all recite it and thus augment the glory of Dharma of Lord Vishnu. Righteous man should regularly listen to the story of Rama, which increases health, long life, love, wisdom, and vitality. Actually, if you read the Ramayana with devotion, I would strongly recommend you the chapter 128. If you want to know more benefits of Ramayana, very detailed, it is provided there. What I'm presenting here is just a summary of that. Continuously, if you read and you read with devotion, definitely whatever benefits that Valmiki have mentioned will be there to every one of you. Every one of you who have been following this Valmiki Ramayana definitely will be benefited if you can do regular readings. Regular readings means not only readings, you can even listen to Ramayana. Listening to Ramayana and also reading of Ramayana. Ramayana, is they say it is punya. Punya is a great merit of going through and reading, rereading. In fact, the entire Ramayana I've read long ago. Of course, I go through Ramayana, some parts of Ramayana, because I do sometimes do some presentation on Ramayana, certain aspects like management and leadership. But taking this class have actually forced me to reread the Ramayana. Because even I have to thank the organizer, Professor Gupta and Sri Ramcharit Bhavan, for giving the opportunity to teach you this, to take this class. As a student, I consider as a student, I have reread the Ramayana, because when I reread, there are many things that I have missed in the past, I'm able to discover. That is why I say read regularly. Okay, so that actually completes Yuddha Kandam chapter 128, which is the last chapter that we are covering in our class. And of course, you have lessons from this chapter. And I have also briefly, before I close this session, I just briefly looked at what are the things, like Balakandam. These are the things that you covered in Balakandam. Okay, it's just a summary I'm just going to provide you. Balakandam consisted 77 chapters. 77 chapters in Balakandam. Balakandam, 77 chapters. all about childhood of Rama, Rama's marriage, encounter with Parasurama, and all that. And of course, from Balakandam, we move to Ayutthaya Kandam, full of drama. Ayutthaya Kandam, very emotional. People who read Ayutthaya Kandam, even Aranya Kandam as well. Ayutthaya Kandam, where based on the boons requested by Kaikili after she was brainwashed by Mantara, Rama had to go to forest. So and then Bharata, the Dasarada will pass away, will leave his mortal body. Bharata will come, will go and look for Rama. So all that, and then about management you learn Rama and Bharata's conversation, chapter 100. All about management is there. And then Rama, after meeting Sage, Atri and Anusuya, goes to Chitrakuta, moving to Chitrakuta. And then in Aranya Kandam, Rama meeting, killing demon Virada, meeting several stages, as I mentioned to you, sages like Sarabanga, Sutiksha, sage Agastya, and then after that, meeting Jatayu, okay, and then Surpanaka incident will be there. Surpanaka came, and then of course after that, Kara, Dushana, Trishara with 40,000 demons will be killed by Rama. Ravana will abduct Sita with the help of Maricha, who came in form of a Mayaman, the illusory deer. And then Rama's agony, separation from Sita, killing of Kabanda. Okay, before killing of Kabanda, and Jatayu will be telling Rama where Ravana have taken Sita, and Sabari, meeting Sabari, and then towards Kishkinda. Book number four. Book number four is Kishkinda Kandam. Kishkinda Kandam is a Kandam where Rama meets Hanuman. Rama and Sugriva make the agreement, friendship. Rama will kill Wali, and we also learn about that the details about Wali Vadam. You can also read the additional information and materials that I have shared in the group, WhatsApp group. And then and then Sugriva will direct the monkeys to look for Sita in all the direction. And then monkeys too going towards the southern direction. When they are not able to find Sita, when they came across the ocean, they all decided to pass until they met Sampati. Sampati reveals the place where Sita is located, and then every one of us were thinking, who is going to cross the ocean? Hanuman was silent. Then Ramavan told Hanuman, why are you silent, O violent hero? Why don't you speak up? Your might is equivalent to Sugriva or even Rama and Lakshmana. When you were a child, you saw the sun in the sky. You thought it was a fruit. You sprang 300 yojanas to pluck it from the sky. So when Hanuman's glory was sung, he was reminded of his strength and he grew. Then after that, Sundarakandam, the Hanuman journey towards Lanka. Remember the chapter 1, all the obstacles he crossed. Mainaka came, Surasa came, Simika came, and he landed. And Hanuman, at one time, even wanted to commit suicide, but he remotivated himself. Finally, he locates Sita. Chapter 15 is a chapter where he locates Sita. He found Sita in Ashokavana and then created confidence in Sita. Then he met Ravana. After meeting Ravana, Ravana decided to set fire to his tail. With that fire, he burned the entire Lanka. And after burning the entire Lanka, he went back, communicated to Vanaras, and then they went to Rama to communicate to Rama about Sita, condition of Sita. And then, of course, the last book that we looked at, book 6, that is the Yuddha Kandam. Yuddha Kandam, where very important part of Yuddha Kandam, surrender of Vibhishana. Vibhishana Saranagati, we learned the very important sloka. Rama said, it's my vow to give protection to whoever comes to me and surrenders to me. Sakrudeva Prapannaya Tamashmiti Jaya Jate Abhayam Sarvabhutevyo Dadam Yetat Pratamama. I want to give protection. Let Vibhishana come. I will give him Abhayam. I will give him protection. Vibhishana Saranagati. Then, of course, a bridge was built with the help of Nala, son of Vishwakarma. And the war. Okay, Nagasra put Garuda came, and Indrajit, what he called tricks. He again, when Indrajit made everyone unconscious, Hanuman brought in Sanjeevi. final battle with Rama, and then Indrajit was killed. Before Indrajit was killed, Kumbhakarna was killed. And then Indrajit, after Indrajit, Ravana. So Ravana Vadam. Okay. And after Ravana has been killed, Vibhishana installed as a king, Sita's orders, and Rama returns to Ayodhya. And after he returns to Ayodhya, his Pattabhisheka. Remember the Pattabhisheka? Read the Pattabhisheka because reading it is very auspicious to everyone. Any Ramayana you read, complete with the Pattabhisheka Sarga, the chapter on Pattabhisheka. Okay, so that actually completes our Ramayana. And just to tell you, this was the objective and the outcome, learning outcome. Very important. We always see the objective, to look at the objective. So at the end of this session, we should be able to learn some lessons in human values and development in order to apply it effectively in our daily life, especially in various crises that the world is facing. I'm sure with the vaccine and all that are coming in, slowly world will be able to overcome this crisis. So even during the crisis or whatever, reading of Ramayana is very, very good to read Ramayana to help us overcome. Indirectly, there will be some force within you, within us, that will guide us. So Ramayana is that literature that can be used to heal us or even heal the world. So I thank every one of you, many of you, some of you here, some or many of you have been very regular. Regular means you have been attending regularly since I think day one. So in the beginning, when we started this class, we thought whether people will remain or not, because it's going to take about 32 session. It took us about 8 months. I remember we started this Ramayana 12 July 2020. And I think we had a break of 1 week. And now it is 21st of February. That means we have completed 32 sessions. That means 8 months of Srimad Valmiki Ramayana have been completed. So it is I'm happy to have taken this role to actually complete this Ramayana. And the most important thing about this is that you teach the Ramayana to other people. You have to teach. All the resources are there, and I have provided you with the sufficient resources. Even the PPT is there, PPT or the PDF or PPT is there. Teach to other people. This is my request, humble request to you. That's the only request that I have. Teach to as many people as possible, because when you teach, indirectly you learn and the other people also learn. And by reading Ramayana, they will be overcome whatever crisis that they face in their life. So I close this session with our usual prayer from Vishnu Sahasranama on Rama's name. When Lord Shiva mentioned to Parvati about the summary of Vishnu Sahasranama, she said that Sri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam Rama Rama
Ramanama Varaname.
Thank you.